This is Michael Woodward, and this is episode 242 of Jumblethink.
T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to Jumblethink, where we interview amazing entrepreneurs about their journey of turning dreams and ideas into reality. Along the way, we're going to share some tips on how you can turn your own dreams and ideas into reality too. On today's show, we are talking about the art of simplicity in entrepreneurship. Whether you're a new listener or a longtime fan of Jumblethink, there's probably an episode you haven't caught yet. And the best way to go check it out is to listen to this show wherever you listen to podcasts. It's easy to do. Head on over to jumblethink.com. You can find links to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, and all of those amazing places. If you like listening on Apple Podcasts, go to jumblethink.com/iTunes. And for Spotify, jumblethink.com/Spotify. Take you right to the app, right to where you can subscribe to the show. Now let's jump into today's show. Hey there, welcome to Jumblethink. My name is Michael Woodward. I am your host. We have a fun topic all about the art of simplicity in entrepreneurship. If you're not an entrepreneur, don't worry. We're going to be giving you some tips that you can apply to entrepreneurship, but also to your life or even your business if you are an employee. It is a great episode, a lot of powerful packed tips in here for you. Before we get rolling, we want to take a moment and thank our friends over at Podcast Row for having me be a part of it. We're going to have some of those episodes coming to you in July from that event. Got to interview amazing entrepreneurs, 10 of them, a matter of fact, in one day. A lot of interviews, a lot of people to talk to. Super, super fun. We're going to share those interviews. I'm going to be giving you some more chances on where you can connect up with Podcast Row in the future. We're super excited about what they're building and what they're doing, so we want you to connect with them. Go check out what they're doing, podcast-row.com. There's a lot of exciting things happening in the future for that. We also want to take a moment and thank our sponsors for today's episode, Penji and OpportunityInChina.com. Now, OpportunityInChina.com can help you find either teaching or learning experiences abroad. They can help you find careers in teaching English and other things. If you have a bachelor's degree, it's a super cool program. So head on over to OpportunityInChina.com to learn more about that. We also want to thank Penji for sponsoring today's show. They are your unlimited graphic design service at a low monthly rate. That's right, unlimited graphic design every month at a low rate. They're doing great work. We love working with them. We have friends that love working with them. Go check them out, Penji.com. Use the code JUMBLE, JUMBLE, to get 15% off your first month. On today's show, we are talking about the art of simplicity in entrepreneurship. Simplicity is something we've talked about a few times on past episodes, but it continues to amaze me how many people make the process of turning dreams and ideas into reality very complex, way more complex than it ever needs to be. So in today's episode, we are exploring the art of simplicity in entrepreneurship, but it goes so much deeper. You can apply these tips to your life, to being an employee, to basically anything. Simplicity is a powerful tool, and we could go so much deeper into various elements of simplicity, but today we're going to just talk about 5 tips. So there was this guy, Hans Hofmann. He lived between 1880 and 1966 and was well known as an artist and teacher. His career impacted many generations in both Europe and America. As an artist, he both preceded and influenced abstract expressionism. So what is abstract expressionism? It's a post-World War II art movement in painting that was the first specifically American movement that achieved international influence and put America at the center of the Western art world. It's often considered an important predecessor to surrealism and put an emphasis on spontaneous, automatic, and subconscious creation. Well, Hans Hofmann once said this about simplicity: the ability to simplify means to eliminate the unnecessary so that the necessary may speak. Super powerful quote. Let me read that one more time for you, just in case you missed it. The ability to simplify means to eliminate the unnecessary so that the necessary may speak. Wow, what powerful words. It's this art of removing anything that's unneeded that allows you to have so much more power in what you say and do and the products you create and the services that you sell and the messages you share. Now, when I talk to entrepreneurs and innovators, I often hear a very complex and bloated idea that makes the initial idea hard to understand or grasp. Now, if you start with a bloated and complex idea, it's really hard to move from the concept and into reality, all while captivating your audience into action. Now, it is really easy to misunderstand simplicity, and I want to make sure that I am very clear in saying that oversimplification can also be detrimental to the process. What we are shooting for in this process is finding the sweet spot where your ideas and dreams flourish. So what exactly is simplicity? Simplicity can be defined in so many different ways, and here's a few examples. First off, it can be defined as the quality or condition of being easy to understand or do. For the sake of simplicity, this chapter will be concentrated on one theory. In that kind of example there, it shows that there's a focus in what the message is for that one chapter. It brings clarity, clearness, intelligibility, comprehensibility, illumination, straightforwardness, and accessibility to the dream or idea. Another definition is the quality or condition of being plain or natural. The grandeur and simplicity of the Roman architecture is a great example. It lacks or has the absence of adornment, the lack or absence of embellishment, unpretentiousness in execution. And then the third way that we're going to talk about right now on defining simplicity is a thing that is plain, natural, or easy to understand. The plural version is simplicities, the simplicities of pastoral living, meaning that you're living at the most essence of life, the simplest place of life. Straightforwardness, ease, easiness, lack or absence of complication, effortlessness, and manageability in life. For years, simplicity in the complex has been the heart of Apple, as a great example. Steve Jobs even addressed this when he said, "That's been one of my mantras. Focus and simplicity. Simple can be harder than complex. You have to work hard to get your thinking clean to make it simple. But it's worth it in the end because once you're there, you can move mountains." I think that's just an incredible thought, that simplicity gives you the power to move things that are unmovable. Simplicity gives you the cleanliness to have the focus to move forward. And that there's so much value in decluttering the complex to bring it back to the place of simple so that you can move forward. In contrast, if you look at the world around us today, complexity has become the mantra of today. We have complicated relationships, complex integrations of technology into our lives, complexity that leads to the over busyness of life, and the complexity that leads us to uncertainty, depression, and burnout. We want to be all things to all people, but in the plurality of being everything to everyone in business and life, we lose the power of our own identity, our own focus in the simplicity of who we are and who we're created to be. Simplicity unlocks many superpowers in the process of turning our dreams and ideas into reality. In this complex world, it's time we stop being on autopilot and start taking action to simplify the process to unlock a future we want to create. In a moment, we'll be back to look a little bit deeper about the art of simplicity in entrepreneurship. Today's show is being presented by our friends over at Penji. Here's a little bit more about them. Penji helps startups, agencies, and marketing teams achieve more with unlimited graphic design support at one flat monthly rate. Their easy-to-use online platform pairs you with a professional designer and lets you create as many design projects as you want. Think of it as your monthly subscription to top-notch design. No contracts, no hourly billing, just fast, simple, and affordable graphic design for all of your needs. And for our listeners here at Jumblethink, they're doing something awesome. They're giving you 15% off your first month of Penji. All you have to do is use the code JUMBLE, JUMBLE, when you go to Penji, PENJI.com. Again, use that code JUMBLE to get 15% off your first month when you go to Penji.com. There is a lot going on here at Jumblethink, and we would love to stay in touch with you. Head on over to jumblethink.com. You can find links to Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter. we'd love to continue the dialogue, to talk about your dreams and ideas, to see how together we can make those dreams and ideas a reality. So if you head on over to jumblethink.com right now, there is a free download. All you have to do is click on that button that says download the Dreamer's Guide to Micro Experiments. Download that and use that to help you move in small ways towards big dreams. Now let's jump back into today's episode as we talk about the art of simplicity in entrepreneurship. We are back to continue this conversation about the art of simplicity in entrepreneurship. In a few moments, I'm going to be sharing 5 tips, 5 ways you can incorporate the art of simplicity into your journey of life and entrepreneurship. And you'll notice that I mentioned life and entrepreneurship instead of just entrepreneurship. While I'm specifically sharing tips on simplicity and entrepreneurship, many of these tips can apply past entrepreneurship and really help you in life and as an employee too. So if you aren't an entrepreneur, you can keep listening and you'll have some great takeaways for your life in this episode. Before we jump into the 5 tips, I want to go a little deeper into what simplicity is and isn't. Simplicity isn't just cutting your idea or dream back to one thing. It's actually just cutting away everything that doesn't support your core dream and idea. Simplicity isn't dumbing down the idea or dream. It's actually making it clear so people can understand and grasp what you are saying and doing. Simplicity isn't boring design. It's actually intentional design filled with beauty and focus and being intentional about everything that you put there. Simplicity isn't easy. It's actually a lot of hard work filled with purpose. Simplicity isn't a shortcut to getting done quicker, although it may do that. Instead, it's actually the process of refinement and perfecting the idea or dream. I can go on and on and on and on, but you get the idea. Simplicity is often much harder to do than complexity. Duke Ellington once said, "Simplicity is a most complex form." And I've used that quote before. I'll say it one more time just in case you missed it. Simplicity is a most complex form. Now, I know some of you are listening and thinking, Mike, I get it. Simplicity is cool. But how do we move into using the art of simplicity as an entrepreneur? Well, I'm glad you asked because I wanted to share the next 5 tips to use simplicity as a superpower in your entrepreneurial life. Tip number 1, clarify your message. One of the first areas that many people overcomplicate their dreams and ideas in is through the words they use to communicate their dreams and ideas. To be successful, you need to focus on the message you use with yourself, with your team, and the people you serve. Messages really only matter if people understand them and can buy into how this will solve their problem for them and the people around them. Often our messaging is based on our presupposed assumptions, better known as bias. Everything we do is based on our own personal biases. If we want to be effective in our message, we must remove our bias that steals from the core of what we're trying to communicate. This requires a deep understanding of the people we are serving. The simpler we can cut back the message to only what the audience needs, the better we will do in converting them to our way of thinking. This, in turn, will captivate them to engage with our message, our products, or services. Unless you are specifically communicating with someone who inherently understands your industry, you need to simplify the industry speak you use. Let me give you an example. For several years, I would have customers come into our web design and development agency and ask, what is the difference between a domain, a web address, and hosting? Many people thought it was the same thing. Often this is a question they had asked over and over again with agencies they had worked with in the past or people who were giving them quotes for future projects. Instead of trying to explain the differences using tech speak, I would communicate in a way that made sense to someone in terms they would understand. When answering that question, I would say something often that sounded like this. So you own a house and a friend wanted to come over and visit. He asked, "How do I get to your house?" You give them your address and they plug it into their GPS and it takes them to your house. Now they are at your house, but they aren't in your house. They knock at the door, you open the door, and they come into your house to hang out. Then you take them on a tour of your house, showing them the various rooms and your prized possessions. Now in this story, the domain is your address. It gets you to the house, but that's about it. And the address can be forwarded to a new address or at your current address. Your house is the hosting. It's where you store all of your stuff, your web pages in this case. The various rooms are the pages of your website, and the stuff in your rooms are the photos, the text, and the content on your site. This action of simplification was all it took for many customers to feel like I understood them. And I was able to communicate with them, and ultimately, this led them to becoming our customer. When you clarify your message by using simplicity, you will often find the right people to be part of your tribe and ultimately to be your customer. Martin H. Fisher, who is a well-known in his teaching, The Art and Practice of Medicine, said this: knowledge is a process of piling up facts. Wisdom lies in their simplification. We must use wisdom to simplify our message, and this is the key to unlocking our success and connecting with our audience. Okay, now are you ready for tip number 2? All right, this one's fun. I like it. It's something that I've had to deal with several times with running different businesses, and it's somewhere I have to go back often for tuning and refreshing and updating as I grow and new endeavors and also tune our old endeavors. Tip number 2 is declutter overly complex systems. Many of us are acting like the chicken with its head cut off. We are running around responding to the latest emergency, the latest client email, the latest tragedy. We are responding without knowing how to prevent these emergencies we face. Our systems either don't exist or they're just completely broken. This is often a side effect of overly complex and bloated systems. Our systems are the key or a key to the success of our business and ultimately our lives. We must have simple, healthy systems. Again, that's not just systems. That's just not simple systems. It is healthy, simple systems. For me, it's as simple as having a calendar that syncs with my wife's calendar on her phone. And it makes all the difference in knowing what's on our schedules and if we can schedule something else on a specific day and time. This system is very simple. We use Apple Calendar. We use it with our iPhones and our computers. It just works most of the time. And when it breaks, it's usually because something didn't sync. And now you have multiple appointments scheduled at the same time, or you miss an appointment and things begin to compound. And you have to go back and fix the system. However, many of us use systems that are bloated, complicated, and inefficient. This steals from our time and our energy. Simplifying our systems has 2 key steps. 1, do you have a system for the things you regularly do? Think about all the things you have to do for your business, for your life, for your job. Do you have systems, things that you do to keep them healthy? And step number 2, are systems working? If you have a system, is it continuing to work and reinforce the jobs that you have to do, the things you have to do in your life? A few years ago, I hired 2 project managers for our business. One was very in line with our philosophy of simplicity, both with working with our clients and in the systems we use to manage their projects. The other project manager wanted to add crazy amounts of systems that were slowing down our process and getting in the way of working with our clients. It was the path of least resistance versus duplication of the work and effort. One project manager was right for our company, the other was not. Now let's talk about how and what these systems may look like for many businesses and entrepreneurs. You could have a CRM, a customer relationship management tool. You could have a project management tool. You could have a time management tool. You could have payroll tools. You could have billing and invoicing and contract tools. And if you sell products, it even gets more complicated because you could have systems around inventory and shipping and online purchases and more. I could probably create a list of hundreds of systems, maybe even thousands of systems for businesses if I took the time to do that. Simple things that many people forget about, like who cleans the bathroom or sweeps out the floor. These are all systems we use in our businesses. A healthy system can be broken into 4 key areas, often called the circle of trust and accountability. Key area number 1. Is the system compatible with our company culture and what our customer expects? This is so important. You can have systems, but if they don't work within your company culture, if they don't work for your customers, they aren't good systems. Might be great for somebody else, but they're not right for you. So the system has to align with your company culture and with your customers' expectations. Key area number 2, can we trust the system to work no matter what we toss at it? Sometimes you can, and sometimes you have systems that are stopgaps as you grow a business. Especially if you're growing rapidly, these systems evolve and change. But you need to know that when you are working the system, you can trust that the system is going to work no matter what you toss at it. Key area number 3, does this system empower our team and our company? If the system gets in the way of your team and your company, if it removes the power for them to do the job that they need to do, then it isn't a good system. So key area number 3, the system has to empower your company and your team. And key area number 4, is there accountability in the system? A system that just allows you to go on without ever checking to see if things are working isn't a good system. So you have to have that accountability in the system that you are building. So recap that again. Circle of trust and accountability. Key area number 1, is the system compatible with your company culture and your customers' expectations? Key area number 2, can we trust this system to work no matter what we toss at it? Key area number 3, does this system empower our team and our company? Key area number 4, is there accountability in the system? If you can simplify each system down to answer those questions, then you're building systems that will help build your business or help you in your job or help you in life. So take the time to think about your systems. Remove the clutter that gets in the way. Remove the extra and unnecessary steps. Make the process as easy as possible and then work the systems. My business coach would always say that you have to work the systems. If you don't use your systems that are healthy and good, then they are no good to you. So build your systems and then work the systems. And then when something breaks, evolve your systems. Go back to that circle of trust and accountability to realign your systems. So that is tip number 2, declutter overly complex systems. That leads us to tip number 3. Are you ready for it? I hope you are. This one is power-packed. When you are an entrepreneur, when you are starting something new, if you are stepping into a new season of life, cut out the additional features that are unnecessary. In the startup world, we talk about building an MVP, a minimum viable product, and it's critical for the success of your business. Often we are so focused on all the bells and the whistles and the things that we think that our customers want, that we forget that we are solving actual customers' pain and helping to make their lives better. We add extra things because we are certain they will need it. Some may, but most typically don't. The more we can cut back to only the things we need in the products, the services, and messages we share, the more likely they are to become big fans and long-term customers along the way. I can't tell you how many projects I've worked on where a client said that they needed something on a project, only to find out that their customers hated it. They didn't want it. They didn't like it. Don't always think that you know best. Learn from those around you. Talk to your customers. Talk to the people you are serving. Know their pain. Know what they want. Know what they desire. They will help you understand what it is and what it isn't that is working in your products and services. Ultimately, when you cut features that are unnecessary, unwanted, and bloated, you will save time, you will save money, and you will save a lot of headaches in the things you're building for your entrepreneurial journey. It's always better to start simple because you can add things when people request it versus removing what they don't want or what isn't working. So cut those unnecessary features. How do you do that? Well, one thing you can do is begin to brainstorm around that idea, that dream, that startup that you want to create. Write everything you think it needs to do. And then figure out what is the simplest thing to get to market. What is the simplest things people want and need? And then build that. You can dream for everything. You can have a goal for everything, but know what it is that the bare bones brings value and significance to the customers you serve. So begin to say, is this really necessary? Do they really want it? Does this make their life easier? Does it make it harder? Is this critical for the success of our platform? And then build around those answers. Build around what you discover. Build around what you find out from your customers. And remove everything to only what's left is what is necessary. And this will help you in that goal of simplicity that leads you to the products and services you want. Tip number four. For entrepreneurs, we all struggle with one thing, and that's focus. We're always looking to the grass is greener on the other side, the new idea, the new dream, the new thing that we want to do. When we're in the middle of a business that's flourishing, we're thinking about what else can we do? If we're in the beginning, we're thinking about what else can we add? And for your success and simplicity, you have to hyper focus. This is a hard one for me. I want to help everyone. I want to solve everyone's problems. Often when you are like this, everyone will suffer. You will suffer. Your customers will suffer. Your family will suffer. Everyone around you will suffer. You will be unhappy. Your projects will take longer. Your customers will not get what they wanted. You need to hyper-focus on the best uses of your time and energy. You need to learn how to say yes to the right things and say no to the wrong things. And this is a thing that we all struggle with. Sometimes we're saying yes to the things that are bad. And they're bad because they don't generate the revenue we need to survive as a business. Or they're bad because they pull us away from the vision that's driving us forward. And we need to say no to those. If we are a business that hyper-focuses, let's say we're in the pet foods industry, and we want to create the best dog food, and we haven't perfected that and created the systems and have a successful product, that's probably not the time to say, you know what, we could also add cat food. What you need to do is hyper-focus and say yes to dog food until that's flourishing and doing well, and no to cat food until you're ready to step into that. So that's one example. If you are a coach and you coach athletes and you have a business guru that comes in, a top-level executive, and they say, hey, I know you're a performance coach for some of these top athletes, but you don't know what you're doing or you're not good at it, and you say, well, yeah, I can help you. I can help these athletes, so I can help you. But you don't know the things it takes for an executive to succeed versus an athlete to succeed. You should be saying no to that executive, even if it's a big payday, because in the end, it will hurt your core area where you generate the most revenue, and that's helping athletes. So how do you do this? How do you know what's right to say yes to and what's wrong and what you should be saying no to? Number one, simplify the clients that you serve and only serve customers that you can serve well. Number two, know what you do and stay in the sweet spot of the products and services you offer. Just because you can do something doesn't mean you should do something. Tip number three, learn to say yes to things that excite and feed your passions. There are so many times I have said yes to things that in the back of my mind and deep in the pit of my heart, I knew, don't do this. This isn't going to end well. And that always leads to bad things. So say yes to things that get you excited and feed your passions and drive you forward. Step number four, say no to things that will drain you and steal your joy. We often do things because we need maybe money. We need the exposure. We need the client, whatever it is. And ultimately, we should be saying no because it steals from our joy. We don't deliver. We're not happy about what we do. The client's the wrong fit. Whatever it is, it steals our joy and it gets us down. Ultimately, keeping what you do simple will make you more money, add more time, and bring excitement and joy back into what you do. This will unlock the ability to focus on what matters. You need to guard your time so that you can focus on the things that drive you towards your vision, towards your big idea and dream. That leads us to our final tip on the art of simplicity for today. It's a simple one. Ask this simple question. Does what I'm doing energize the dream or idea I have? If it does, keep doing it. If it doesn't, stop doing it. You must keep the vision of where you are going in the forefront of what you are building. Often, we take side routes, because we've lost our focus and our vision for where we're going. You need to keep with your vision and then build the things that will get you there. There's a proverb that says, where there is no vision, the people will perish. But he who keeps the law, happy is he. It's Proverbs 29:18, just in case you're curious. Not only do I think that people perish, employees that no longer work for you, family breakups caused by divorce, friends lost over disagreements, but I also think that dreams and ideas perish when you have lost your vision. You must keep hyper-focused on the vision to see your dreams and ideas come to life. As Dwight Eisenhower once said, don't let the urgent overtake the important. There are always going to be things that try to steal from the important vision, the created purpose that we are here to do. So don't let those urgent things, don't let those side distractions pull you from what really matters. Those are my 5 tips for you today around simplicity in entrepreneurship. In a moment, we're going to be back to talk about and wrap up this topic about the art of simplicity. Today's show is presented by our friends over at OpportunityInChina.com. Have you been looking for a way to change your career or social prospects? Do you see the world around you changing and haven't quite figured out what path you should take? You are not alone in seeking opportunity. Visit OpportunityInChina.com for access to scholarships to attend university in China. Or, if you have a bachelor's degree already, OpportunityInChina.com provides access to jobs in the educational sector all across China. Now, working in China is not only often well paid, but it will place you among 1/5 of the world's population, boosting your social network, bringing you more deeply into the story of globalization, and opening up doors you never knew existed. Seize your opportunity now. Visit their website for more information at OpportunityInChina.com. So you have an event coming up. Maybe it's for your business, maybe it's for your company, but you're looking for a speaker to help you captivate your audience. Well, I would be honored to be a part of your next event. I can help your audience understand how to find their creative purpose. We can go deep into the world of micro experiments and how to rapidly evolve an idea. We can talk about the art of simplicity, like today's episode, or even talk about faith in entrepreneurship and how the two intertwine. Or maybe you just want someone to come in and talk about the world of podcasts, the world of emerging media, and the world of influence. Well, no matter what it is, I would love to be a part of your event. I would love to be able to speak and share these messages and really help your audience, help you reach the goals and dreams you have. So head on over to jumblethink.com/speaking. That's jumblethink.com/speaking. And let's start the conversation about how I might be able to serve you at your next event. Now let's jump back into the conversation about the art of simplicity in entrepreneurship. All right, we are back to conclude today's topic about the art of simplicity in entrepreneurship and in life. In my opinion, simplicity is one of the most important keys to launching into your dreams and ideas. When we keep simplicity as the backbone, the bedrock of our journey into entrepreneurship, we are more likely to make those dreams and ideas real. So here's a few questions I want to ask you today to challenge you to think about this topic. Number 1, what are you doing that is overcomplicating and bloating your big idea and dream? No matter where we are in this journey of entrepreneurship, no matter where we are in the dream and idea, there is probably something that we are overcomplicating, overthinking, and overdoing. So take some time today to think about what you are creating and what you are doing that is overcomplicating and bloating that big idea and dream. Number 2, what systems are currently slowing you down? Maybe you need to take a look at those and simplify them. Maybe you need to just fix a small thing. Maybe it's a overhaul of a complex system that's no longer working. So think about that today for your business, for your journey of entrepreneurship, for your life, for your job. What are the systems that are slowing you down? Number 3, if you don't have systems, what are the systems you can put in place today to help you achieve the goals and dreams you have? You aren't going to get all of your systems in place for everything you need to do in one day. But what if you could just take time to think of one system that you don't have that could help you in the process of making those dreams and ideas more attainable? And then work that system, build it out, figure out the simplest path and build it out so that you can really achieve those dreams and ideas you have. Tip number 4, what are you saying yes to that you should be saying no to? We all are guilty of it. So today, I want you to think about that. What are you saying yes to that you should be saying no to? And then make that change. And finally, the final question I have for you today, number 5. What is the vision and where do you want to go? Without vision, you don't know where you're going. Without an idea and dream with direction, the idea and dream will flounder. So today, what is the vision for your dream and idea? Where do you want it to go? What do you want to create? And then go create those steps to get there. Simplicity is going to look different for each person in business. What works for one business or team might be a failure in another team or culture. You really need to be intentional about finding and creating simplicity in all that you do, whether it's an entrepreneurial endeavor, whether it's a business endeavor, whether it's an employee situation. No matter what it is, you need to find those places of simplicity to make your life easier. So that does it for today's episode. Thank you so much for tuning in. We want to thank our sponsors, OpportunityInChina.com. Go check them out at OpportunityInChina.com. And we also want to thank Penji. Use the code JUMBLE, JUMBLE, to get 15% off your first month of unlimited graphic design at a low monthly rate. Head on over to Penji.com. Use that code JUMBLE. Thanks again for tuning in. It means the world to me that you would listen to our show. I hope you are feeling inspired to step out into the unknown and make your dreams a reality too. So now it's your turn. Dream big and change the world around you.
Vous devez écouter ce disque plusieurs fois pour bien en comprendre le mécanisme. Pourtant, il n'est qu'un commencement. Nous avons voulu en faire connaître la force. Vous verrez comment un simple disque peut aller plus loin que vous ne l'auriez imaginé. Mettez-vous dans une tenue légère. Ôtez tout ce qui peut vous gêner ou tirer votre attention. Cherchez la meilleure position. Les bras et les jambes légèrement espacés. Étirez-vous doucement, mais complètement. En avant, en arrière, sur les côtés. Vous êtes une autre personne. Les mères de famille, les enfants peuvent également prendre un moment revitalisant. Dans quelques mois, lorsque vous aurez bien saisi la technique et que vous serez maître de votre corps, vous pourrez vous décontracter même en travaillant.